We can do it, but we need to do it soon because the clock is ticking and time is not working in our favor. If we lose the confidence of our foreign lenders, and we must not allow that to happen, but if that were to happen, then there would be a dramatic decline in the dollar, a dramatic increase in interest rates, significant fueling of inflation, a very, very deep recession and possibly depression that would be felt around the world. We must not allow that to happen.
Today we've had a national tragedy. 2 airplanes have crashed into the World Trade Center.
They took down the symbols, the financial symbols of America, the twin towers of the world trade.
The story of the great financial crisis begins, just like many of the stories of our era, in the United States on September 11th, 2001. The terrorists knew exactly what they were doing, striking at the ultimate symbol of the global economy. And they did it when the US was already slumping into a recession after the dot-com bubble had burst.
Despite the tragic events of September the 11th, the foundations of our free society remain sound, and I am confident that we will recover and prosper as we have in the past.
Predicting the panic of '08, the economic 9/11, and the current economic crisis that we're still in was probably one of the easiest forecasts we've ever made in our 30 years of trend forecasting. It was very simple. Immediately after 9/11, the President of the United States, George W. Bush, told the people to be good Americans and go out and shop. But how are they going to do it? You're in a recession. Federal Reserve comes to the rescue.
In his memoir, Federal Reserve Chairman Alan Greenspan writes that he knew that low interest rates might cause a bubble. About a year after the worst economic crisis in modern history, Lehman Brothers is gone. But apart from that, Wall Street looks much the same. Many banks are reporting record profits. The world's stock markets have skyrocketed. The market is finally breathing a sigh of relief. But isn't it somewhat uncomfortable? Haven't we been here before? All the measures that we have taken to save the economy, the low interest rates, the massive debt, the safety net for the financial industry, these are the very things that led us into a crisis in the first place. We've been saved from the consequences of one burst bubble by inflating 100 new ones all over the world. The US government has launched bailouts, stimulus packages and guarantees to the tune of $10,000 billion.
Caught myself wondering for the 100th time how the hell I got here. What the hell I'm doing here.
That's more than the total cost to the US government for World War I, World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, the invasion of Iraq, the New Deal, the Marshall Plan, and the moon landing. Bush almost racked up more US debt than all presidents before him combined, from George Washington to Bill Clinton. And Obama is almost creating greater debt than all presidents before him, including George W. Bush. In September 2008, the bankruptcy of one large investment bank brought the world economy to its knees. The fate of Lehman Brothers raised the question of who was next in line, so everyone avoided doing business with banks. How will the world react if the next entity to declare bankruptcy is a nation? Who is next in line if that were to happen? Some houses of cards have already started falling. This is Iceland, until recently one of the richest nations in the world. When the crisis hit, the Icelandic banks collapsed. The Icelandic stock market crashed, leaving the debt with a small population. For the first time in 50 years, this peaceful country saw riots. This is Greece. Here, deficits have hit a record high. The national debt is approaching 135% of GDP. The market wants higher interest rates for Greek loans, increasing the pressure on its strained economy. It seems like the Greek government needs a bailout to avoid collapse. Italy, Spain, Portugal, and Great Britain are other EU nations with similar problems. What about my country, Sweden? The country's finances are fairly robust. Our national debt and deficit are lower than that of most nations. But Sweden is highly dependent on the world economy. More than half of our prosperity is based on exports. When other countries crash, we get hit almost as hard. If enough things can go wrong, some of them probably will. The question is just which needle will burst this bubble? Will it be new credit losses as banks take on greater risks, knowing that the government considers them too big to fail? Or falling stock prices as interest rates rise and the steroids wear off? Will it be the Chinese economy overheating? Or will it be a collapse of confidence in the US dollar? When the next bubble bursts, you cannot use the same emergency measures. You can't lower interest rates that are already at rock bottom. You can't stimulate the economy with borrowed money if an excessive national debt is the cause of the crisis. The governments could save the banks, but who can save the governments?
Ultimately, there's going to be a price all around the world to be paid for this. And the longer it continues, the bigger that price is going to be.
You know, this really is a moral question. I mean, I can give you plenty of big and bad numbers. You know, when you talk about tens of trillions of dollars, it's just hard to imagine. But you have to put a face on it. And to me, I put my children's and my grandchildren's face on it. It's their future that we're mortgaging.
When we tell people that there's going to be a bailout bubble, and they see the world equity markets up 50, 60%, they don't want to believe that it's another bubble. They want to step right up back to that table and throw their dice and try to win their hand at the wheel of fortune that Wall Street's spinning. So people still don't want to believe that the worst is yet to come.
It's easy to think of these predictions as much too gloomy. But that is exactly what people said the last time. When these experts predicted the 2008 financial crisis, they were laughed at in the media.
We can do it, but we need to do it soon because the clock is ticking and time is not working in our favor.